Listen to the Vibes, hosted by Coyote Night. Listen in for some positivity and good times. The views and opinions of our guests may not necessarily reflect those of the host or the Vibes Broadcast Network. Listener discretion is advised.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I don't want to butcher your last name, man. Steven, what is your last name?
Oh, so it's a tongue twister all the way through. It's Settanni.
Stefan Settanni. Okay. See, I didn't want to just assume and say it the wrong way, embarrass myself.
It's all good. Once people see the name, they turn around and run because there are so many consonants in so many places. And it's a mess. But yeah, Stefan Settanni, Italian American. But that's the way. It means 7 years in Italian, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I found something new. And you speak Portuguese?
I do. I speak Italian and Portuguese. Yeah.
Wow. So how in the world did you learn Portuguese?
Lots of patience. But I also, I'll try and keep it as short a story as possible. But well, hey, we're on a podcast, so let's keep it a long one. I knew Italian and I lived in Italy for a little while, tried to get back in touch with my roots. I saw the Julia Roberts movie, Eat, Pray, Love, and I thought, hey, I could get on board with that. So I started with the eat part and then I skipped the pray and love part. But I was in Italy eating pizza, learning Italian, and then I moved back. I wanted to be an Italian teacher here in the United States. And so I did that for a little while and I ended up not loving it. The reason is I got a grant from the Italian government to teach Italian as an after-school program. And so what a lot of adults or a lot of parents saw that as, free program where I can throw my kids for another 45 minutes until I have to pick them up from school. So there were about 60 kids that I was trying to teach Italian to, and they weren't having it. So mamma mia, I had to give that up after 2 years, and then I ended up trying to get more into business and language learning. So what better place to juxtapose both those things than Rosetta Stone? So I ended up working at Rosetta Stone I don't know if you remember any of those kiosks that were at airports and malls where it was basically a guy in khaki pants and a yellow button-up shirt trying to sell you $750 worth of language learning software. So I was that guy. I basically looked like the man with the yellow hat in Curious. Yeah. So I was just hanging out at the kiosks and I wanted to learn through Rosetta Stone. I thought, let's give this a try, see if it actually works. So I ended up taking Portuguese, and I was in New Jersey at the time, and close to me was Newark, New Jersey, which is one of the biggest Brazilian communities outside of Brazil. And I was like, well, this language, it's kind of like Spanish, except not a lot of gringos speak it. So I might stand out in the business world, or if I do try to get a job and people are like, why does that guy speak Portuguese? So I felt like the difficulty level was the same, but it might stand out a little more. I also found Brazilian women to be, semi-attractive. I don't know if you've seen a Brazilian woman, but yeah. So I decided, hey, let's try and learn Portuguese. So I did that, and then through Rosetta Stone, I wouldn't say I got fluent, but I got good enough to embarrass myself multiple times in Portuguese. So.
I could tell you some stories when I was trying to learn Spanish because my first wife was Hispanic, and her stepfather, I worked with him, and he was trying to teach me Spanish, but he would teach me the wrong words. So I ended up calling a fellow worker what's the word I'm looking for? Something derogatory. And didn't realize that that's what I was saying. I just thought I was saying Mexican. No, how did I know I was saying, the slang term for that, or.
Yeah. I've totally been there. I remember when I went to Brazil, spoiler alert, I ended up getting married to a Brazilian woman. and we met in New Jersey, but we ended up getting married in Brazil in her
Wow.
hometown. Yeah. So I got to meet her family. Before that, we've been to Brazil 7 or 8. No, maybe it's like 10 times already. But I haven't been to Rio yet. I've been to Sao Paulo once. We haven't really done any touristy things. We've just gone around from her relative's house to relative's house, eating tons of food and gaining weight. So it's fun in its own right. But I ended up embarrassing myself a lot in Portuguese, and my wife wanted her dad and I to spend some quality time together. So she sent us grocery shopping, and then we ended up grocery shopping, and they gave us a list, and then he abandoned me to go do the grocery shopping while he was going to go look at the different cuts of meat. So I thought, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to impress my father-in-law, and I'm going to go get everything, fill the cart up. So some things on the list I didn't know, and I'd ask as store employees, and they'd try and show me around. And so I was able to get everything except for one thing. And I asked all of the employees, and they were like, they gave me a weird look. And so I told my father-in-law, I said, hey, I've got everything on the list except for this one thing. And so I said, the word in Portuguese is fubá, but I said folba, which fubá is cornmeal or corn flour, and then folba is your rear end, but like the whole. he gave me that same strange look, and I once he explained to me, I realized that I told the whole store I was looking for buttholes, and so obviously my picture's now in the store of somebody that can never go there again. I'm forbidden at the
this,
local fries.
this gringo's not allowed. Yeah, it reminds me of a story that my history teacher told me. Was when Kennedy was in Berlin and he was doing his speech, and he said if you actually translated what he said, that he was proud to be a jelly donut.
Aren't we all deep down just proud to be a jelly donut, just soft on the inside, sugar coated?
Exactly.
That's great.
So where did you say you lived in New Jersey?
I lived in Montclair, New Jersey for about 2 years, which I've never seen The Sopranos, but everyone tells me a large part of The Sopranos is filmed in Montclair and the surrounding areas. And then I lived in a town called Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Okay.
And that is a place that I probably wouldn't recommend to anybody to go live. Where the reason we did it, my wife and I, we ended up trying to live in New York. I got a job in New York. So we were going to live in the city. And then we saw the price of apartments, and the apartments we could afford, they couldn't fit both of us inside of them. So then we went outside and we thought, okay, Hoboken, Jersey City, those were still a little too expensive. So then some friends suggested Elizabeth, New Jersey. And so I didn't look at the crime map until after we moved there, but I looked at it and I saw it looked like the crime map had chicken pox. It was just red dots everywhere. And I was like, oh,
my
it's
gosh.
probably fine. And it was like stabbing, assault, theft, stab. So lots of stabs going on. I nothing ever happened to me, but my friends that knew the area, they told me that they think that I got away with it because I looked like an undercover cop. My hair was much shorter at the time, but I would just walk from our apartment to the train station to get to the city, then train station to the apartment. Sometimes it was late at night. There were some shady folks at sometimes, but I would walk past them, try and show them my fake badge, and then I'd be fine. So it was good.
Quick story. My wife and I visited New York a couple of years ago.
Oh,
And
nice.
my very first time to ever be there. And while we were there, I said, we're this close. I said, we're going to New Jersey. And so we got a train ticket. We went to New Jersey, but I went to Red Bank.
Oh, I love Red Bank. Nice.
Loved this town. It was like going back in time almost, the way it looked. It was so beautiful and just that nostalgic look. And of course, my reasoning for going to Red Bank is because Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash comic book store is there. And
Nice.
and if you've ever watched Comic Book Men, that's that was why I wanted to go there.
Yeah.
And some of the guys from the show were actually working in the store that day. So I
Oh
was,
my God.
oh my God, that was like so cool. I got to take a picture in front of the Buddy Jesus statue too.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I think I may have gotten a picture there too. My wife and I went there. I forgot the reason why we went to Red Bank. I think we went to the beach, and then on our way back, we went to go get a pizza or something there. But it was a quaint little town. Everything looked so historic, and a lot of places coming from Arizona, you don't see a lot of that. Everything, I don't know what it is too. I think that we try to blend in with nature here, with the color of the houses, which I don't understand why. It's a boring beige, so all of the houses are subsequently boring beige. And over there on the East Coast, you've got these vibrant, a lot of springy colors,
Hmm.
and really cool architecture. So it's really cool to see that. But that's awesome that you got to see some of the cast or workers at the shop.
And they had the most awesome Jewish deli just a few doors down. And so I had my first matzo ball soup there, and it was delicious.
Oh, yum. Yeah, I miss the cuisine over there as well. It's again, I'm not doing a great job of selling Arizona to people. It's a great state, but I mean, you don't really get good food. You can, but Jersey, it's just, and New York, it's just like every block there's a really good place. A lot of good Italian food, lots of really good Jewish food, delis, stuff like that. It's so good. And you know what the secret is? People say is the
Mm.
water. The water is very soft over there, so it makes for really good bagels, makes for really good pizza. The consistency of the dough is just really nice. So that's why Arizona has horrible pizza and bagels, because this is where I'm going to nerd out a little bit. I was reading because I wanted to find a good bagel place once I moved back here to Phoenix, and then I looked up good bagels in Phoenix, and then the first result in Google was an article that's saying, here's why there are no good bagels in Phoenix. And so this article just went deep down. It was from a guy from Jersey, and he was on a quest as well at one point, and he said that there is, with hard and soft water, there is calcium and what was it? I forgot the other mineral, but there are, for soft water, it has to be around less than 21 parts per million. So in New York and New Jersey, it's about 12, which is pretty nice soft water.
Okay.
In Arizona, it's 221 parts per million. So it's like
Good Lord.
extremely, you turn on the faucet and then just a block of water comes out. It's almost solid. You can see, in fact, the calcium buildups there from water faucets or showers or hoses or whatever.
Oh
Really
yeah.
we have,
Work.
go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Oh,
Finish.
I was going to say we have really strong bones, but our bagels. So,
Working in the water department, for years, we'd get those calls where somebody would say, "I have no water," and so you go and you check the meter, and the meter's running, and I don't understand. And then you ask questions like, "Well, it's working in the bathroom, but it's not working in the kitchen." And I said, "Take the little screen off the bottom of it, and you take it off, and it's just full of those little white clumps."
oh
Like,
yeah. I haven't had that bad of a buildup yet, but if that ever happens, I know what to do now.
it's the calcium. Yeah, that's when you're in and around the Houston area. That's what you get.
Wow, I didn't.
Mhm.
So it's really high in. I hopefully all the listeners have not started to fade off. But
Hey, you know what? I've talked some weirder subjects, believe it or not. But
so
okay, well, one more thing about food.
yes,
New Jersey has the best pastrami I've ever had in my life.
yes, I will agree to that. Very delicious. Where did you, in Red Bank?
It was in Red Bank, yes. I was so if I was able to take it home with me, I would have took like 2 or 3 pounds of it.
Oh man, I think the first time I ever had pastrami was in New Jersey. I don't think people know what it is in Arizona. I think it's some sort of bird or something. Oh, you have a pet pastrami? That's great. What's his name? Yeah, it's or maybe I grew up in a small town too, so that could have accounted for some of it. But yeah, pastrami there is delicious. All the cold cuts, the gabagool, the salami. It's just amazing over there.
Now, New York, I'll have to say they had pretty badass pizza.
Yes. Did you get the street pizza? Just pizza or places are right off the street?
We were in Queens, and when we got to the hotel, we were both starving. I'm like, look, I am not coming to New York without trying the pizza. So we just ordered it from a place down the road because they were the only ones open at that time. And I'm kind of, I don't know. We'll see. When it got there, I'm like, oh my God, this pizza's so good. I said, the hell with my diet. I went and I just gouged myself. And then, of course, I had to get the cheesesteak. I mean, the cheesecake. Oh my God, that cheesecake was good. But let me tell you something. New York has no idea how to make barbecue. We went to one place that said Dallas barbecue. I'm thinking, oh, cool. Somebody from Dallas has created a barbecue place here. That was the worst. That wasn't even barbecue. I'm sorry. It was.
Oh man, that's really funny because I don't think I really sought out barbecue that much, so I don't think I can't judge on the barbecue, but I can attest to their lack of good Mexican food, or at least compared to the quality of Arizona. That's the one thing where Arizona, I had like 5 different spots where I can get really good Mexican food, but New York, it just didn't hit the spot. It wasn't the same.
It's hard to find really good Mexican food. In fact, you'd be shocked, but in this area in Austin, there's like one place that's really, really good Mexican food. Everything else is, the Tex-Mex kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
I like Tex-Mex, but I like authentic Mexican food. So
Yes. Yeah, I do too. I do too. Every now and then, I guess back in my college days, after I'd had a drink or two, and on the way home with my friends, we would go to like a Filiberto's or a Roberto's or a Berto's, and we'd get those greasy burritos. Those hit the spot sometimes. But the authentic Mexican food is delicious.
Oh, yeah. It's hilarious when people will come around. They're like, oh, we want some Mexican food. I'm like, all right, where do you want to go? Taco Bell. I'm like, Taco Bell? That's the worst excuse for Mexican food. That's what I call white people Mexican food.
Very much.
It's not even real meat.
It's really funny where I used to have these expectations of where I thought, okay, Taco Bell, total white guy Mexican food. And so then I'd say, oh, it's not good. Or I'd have these expectations of, this is a really nice restaurant, so the food should be good. It has to be good. My wife, she's totally opposite. She's like, if I like it, I like it. So we went to Taco Bell. I was not expecting this of her because I was like, you're not going to like Taco Bell. It's not authentic. I don't know if it's real. It might be just fake synthetic cheese. But we ended up, she's like, oh, I want to get the Dorito shell hard taco. And I was like, oh, babe, you're going in the deep end here. You're not starting off with getting your feet wet with a soft taco or something. You're going Dorito crunchy taco. And she had it, and she was like, this is one of the best things I've ever had in my life. I was like, oh, babe, we might have to expand your palate a little bit. But no, she's an amazing cook. She can cook almost anything. She's has a very expansive palate, but she loves Taco Bell Doritos crunchy tacos.
And you still love her, and that's all that matters.
I know. I love you with all your defects, including liking Taco Bell. You like me, even though I'm lazy, and we love each other. We complement each other. So good.
You want to hear some irony though? I used to work for the city of Pasadena, Texas,
Uh,
and the majority of the population on one part of town is Hispanic. And
mhm.
so you're like excited. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get some good tacos around here and all
Yeah.
this. And so you go to like the Mexican restaurant and there's like Asian people working there and there's black people working there. And not that they can't cook, it's just that's not what you associate that
Right.
group of folks with. So
Right.
then you go to the Chinese restaurant because you're all psyched up to eat Chinese and they're all Hispanic people working in there.
Exactly. Or you go to a sushi restaurant, there's a white guy cutting up your fish.
Yeah, here, let me fix you some of this sushi. Come on, dude. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to sound racist, but I want some Asian dude making my sushi.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair. Yeah, because if you have a guy named Carl that's making your whatever California roll or whatever, he's probably not been doing it for that long. Where if it's somebody, because Japanese culture, for example, I saw this documentary. I think it was about sushi too. Yeah, Hiro does sushi. The guy's been doing sushi his entire life, and his father did sushi before him, so he might know a thing or two about sushi, and he's been practicing it a bunch, and so you're gonna get some really quality stuff. So I think there's something to it.
People are like, what am I listening to now? Is this cooking hour? Restaurant review? I don't know, man. I did enjoy my trip to New York. I wished I had got to spend more time in New Jersey, but New York was fun for the few days I was there, but I couldn't wait to get back home. And um, I did learn also that they do not have what we consider to be iced tea in New York. Um,
Oh wait, really? What's iced tea? What's the difference?
well, I go in and I'm like, hey, I want an iced tea, unsweet tea with no lemon because I'm diabetic. I have like sweet and low and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they bring me that Lipton mix, the automatic, whatever you call it,
Yeah. Is it the powder?
the powdered. And I'm like, this is not tea, and it's lemon flavored. And I'm one of these few people, I do not like the taste of lemon in my tea. And as soon as we got off the plane in Houston, are you familiar with Whataburger?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I said, hit the first Whataburger. I'm getting a big old glass of iced tea because that's the best tea in Texas. And I was like, oh, yes, I'm home.
That's really funny. My wife, we just made these at home. There's a fast food chain in Brazil. It's called Habib's. And
Okay.
so it's like I guess it's Middle Eastern cuisine, I think from Lebanon. I'm not sure specifically where. But they've basically got these things called sfihas that are like little pizzas.
Mhm.
There's a doughy base, and it's like a pizza crust almost, and then you can put these fillings in. One of them is just cheese, and then there's another one with ground meat and some seasoning and everything like that. But we just made that at home, and it's like me going to Brazil and being like, I really miss a Big Mac right now. Can we make one at home? And it's weird kind of reproducing that, but we did it. Tastes good. Doesn't, not quite the grease of a fast food place, but it's interesting how specific flavors remind you of home and make you feel at home.
And you don't like to be stereotypical when you talk about places, but once again in Red Bank, we're sitting in the Jewish deli, and I'm really, really enjoying my food.
Yeah.
And so these three guys come in with the accents. I swear they're mobsters. They're like from The Sopranos. What have I stepped into? And they even had the looks on it. Don't even look at me, man. I'm gonna come over there and punch your face in.
You never know, man. You never know. I don't know if I've ever ran into any, but I've definitely seen some where I was like, I don't know. He kind of looked the part.
Yeah, I try not to be too judgmental on people when I see them, but I'm like, I'm not taking my chances.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not looking. Y'all enjoy your meal.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It just reminded me of something because you try to be well-tempered. You don't generalize a stereotype. I'm the same way. But when you see somebody that might be dangerous, try and be nice. I was thinking of the differences in nice versus not so nice people. New York, I think that here's the difference. In Arizona, at least, people are very nice superficially. You might wave if you see somebody, or if you're at Subway, as you're going down the line, the person might carry on a conversation with you. Whereas in New York, you order your tea and they're like, they don't even say, hi, how are you? They're just like, hi. I'm like, hey, how are you? Fine. And then what can I
What
get
do you
you?
want?
I
Yeah.
just go through with your thing. So I think that on the surface they're a little rougher, but then once you get to know certain ones, if you become friends, they're really loyal. They're very good people, and I've met some really good friends. That wasn't the point of my story. The point of my story is I started to become a little bit of a Jersey guy and have a Jersey rage when trying to find parking, because in Arizona there's ample parking. I don't remember the last time I could parallel park. There's
Mm.
there's just no reason. Where Jersey, I mean, sometimes you'd have to pull up, you'd have to jump one car and then get into a spot in between three others. And it's like at the mall, there was this place called the Jersey Gardens Mall, and there were a lot of tourists because they had a lot of steep discounts on name brand on brands, and then there was no sales tax for clothing in New Jersey. So people would come in, lots of tourists from New York, they'd take the bus, go there, or they'd drive, whatever. It was about 5 minutes away from where my wife and I lived in Elizabeth. And so sometimes we would be driving around for 30 minutes, going in circles and not finding parking.
Oh
And
wow.
that drove me up the wall. I could finally say, I get it. I get why people are rude here, because I was ready to scream at somebody. And I'm like sorry, I'm very humble, but I'm a very nice man. No, but I try to be polite. I try and be respectful to other people. But it was really hard when I was trying to find parking and then people were cutting me off, and it's
Yeah.
tough.
Let me tell you a little bit about Texas. In most places, and granted not all, but most places you go to in Texas, the people are very friendly. They have a lot of Southern hospitality. That's the way we were raised. You get everybody will wave at you as they're passing you by, or you pass somebody in the store and you just kind of nod your head, how you doing, and all that kind of stuff. Everybody are angels,
Yeah.
and you get on the highway. I don't care if you're the preacher. Somebody does something you don't like, the preacher's flipping you off and cussing you out. He's
That
speaking. He's speaking in tongues, but it ain't like church tongue.
it's not the good tongues, not the good tongues. Now let me ask you a question. How is the honk culture there? Because I'll answer after I hear your answer, but I'm curious.
um, they do get a little honk crazy sometimes.
Okay. Okay.
I live in Cedar Park, and for the most part, Cedar Park's always been one of those, real friendly towns. But a lot of people from California are moving here because the tech companies and all that. Because was it Apple and a lot of those companies are here. Google is here. So they leave California because it's so expensive over there. As you get here, and the wages seem to be better, the housing and everything's a lot better.
Right.
um and you can tell the California drivers. And
Dang.
then once you get that person cuts you right off for the stupidest reasons and then makes the turn without putting on a signal, you drive by and the license plate says California. I'm like, let me give you a map, and I'm going to show you the only direction on this map will be west.
Don't stop till you see the Hollywood sign.
That's
I
right.
I think, yeah, California, that's a totally different beast too. The reason I was asking about the honk culture is because I don't even know if that's a theme, but I'm I'm coining it. So here in Arizona, people are very aggressive too on the highway, but nobody honks their horn. It's the strangest thing. People get super aggressive. They'll cut you off. They'll yell at you, but I don't hear the horn honking. So I was a little bit traumatized when I first went to Jersey, where everybody uses their horn. Sometimes not even in a bad way. Sometimes it's just to say, hey, or thank you for letting me pass you. But the horn is used much more frequently on the East Coast than it is in Arizona.
Now,
But
I will say this about the honking. A majority of people do use the horn just to get their buddy's attention so they can say, hey, I see you over there. And then, of course, the person in front of them is like, what the hell are you honking at me for?
How long has it been since we've had a revolutionary idea with horns? I feel like it's time for that. Because all you've got is your one honk. If we were only able to say one thing or just use one tone, I feel like that would be very annoying and people would not be able to understand each other. If instead of me being like, hey, my name's Stefan Settanni, glad to be here, I'm like, hey, my name's Stefan Settanni, glad to be here. You might be confused. You wouldn't know if I was actually happy or not. So I think that the horns, they should have a happy horn and then an angry horn. Maybe a sad horn. Throw it in the mix. Why not? I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh my God, you just reminded me of something. I bought a T-Bird years ago, and I was so proud of this car. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna freak people out. So I got an Aruga horn. So you can imagine, here's this cool looking Firebird pulling up, and you're going, Aruga, Aruga.
That is amazing. See, I like that. And I think that if we gave our car more of a voice, we would be able to communicate better with people on the road. So
Right.
instead of honk, you could have Aruga, you could have wah, wah, and then, you'd be able to say hi to your friends without pissing off the person in front of you.
Everybody needs a kit car. That's what they need.
Yeah.
Michael, that person's about to cut you off. Well, just tell him I said, hey, don't do that. Or the Mach 5, you could just jump over them.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Possibilities are endless. Maybe it's going to happen in Elon Musk's new design for Tesla.
Do you realize that the younger generation are like, what the hell are they talking about?
They're like, what's an Aruga? Is that an island in the Caribbean?
Kit car. Is that
Yeah.
one you put together?
Is that a Lego set? What's going on here? Oh,
What's the Mach 5? You know, I can still sing the theme song to Speed Racer too, by the way.
Really?
Yes, don't ask me to do it.
I was going to say, are you going to regale me with the tune? Or
I'll give you the beginning. Here comes Speed Racer. He's a demon on wheels. He's a demon and he's going to be chasing after someone.
Oh, that's good. It's been a while since I've heard that. It's
one of my faves. Nothing beats Scooby-Doo, though.
Oh, Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? I like that.
So you are a comedian.
I try to be.
You try to be.
I am a comedian and a podcaster. And so I ended up starting on my podcasting journey when I was 27. No, when I was 29. 3 years ago, anyway. 3 years passed. And I was living in New Jersey. My brothers, I have two of them. They were living in Arizona. And I wanted to keep in touch with them. But they're a little boring, so I wanted to spice things up. So I ended up trying to do a podcast. And I ended up doing a podcast with them. I heard a podcast that was also three brothers, and they gave advice. And so I thought, why can't we do that? Why can't we just copy someone else? It's the American way.
Exactly.
So I ended up doing that, and then we got in touch. We were able to do it once a week. I put everything together, and then I started the podcast, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it. My brothers, I can't say the same because they're no longer on the podcast, but I ended up still doing it until I moved back to Arizona. And then one of my brothers was still into it. The other one, he had priorities like college and things like that. He started,
College.
he started, yeah, he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have to work on my master's." And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever, bro. Yeah,
Whatever.
you and your mechanical engineering." So he ended up doing that. My other brother stayed on. And then I started getting into stand up at that point because I thought, okay, this podcast is fun. This is more improv. I took an improv class. I liked it. But I wanted to get into the stand up world because I thought writing your thoughts and putting it in a way that's funny for an audience is really clever. And I want to be able to do that, or at least see if I can do it. So I ended up getting into a class while I was doing that. And so I started taking the class and writing material. So I ended up doing about not just one class, but I over my stand-up career, I ended up doing around 15 minutes or so of material. And so I started performing a little bit around the Valley. And at the same time, I wanted to get to know the local stand-up community and see what I could do to kind of help them. So I started bringing on guests, and I started bringing on local comedians. So that way I could get to know them, and then I could also promote what they've got going on to my audience on my podcast. And so it worked out really nicely. And so I started with some local guests, and then I started building my way up. And so I got bigger local guests, and then I started getting touring comedians, and then I started getting comedians that are also actors or have specials on Comedy Central, on Netflix, on Hulu, or have been on The Late Show, Conan, etc. And so I've started to it started to evolve where it's me interviewing a little bit this guest, seeing how they got into comedy, what they're working on, what they're doing, dissecting a little bit of the stuff, trying to do my homework and understanding what makes them great, what I like about them, and then questions I have. And then we get into the self-help where we answer questions that fans will send in on Reddit or Yahoo Answers or Quora that are just absolute silly questions, the real barnacles of the internet. And so we answer them in a silly way. And so that's also really fun because there's the interview part, and then there are the questions, and then sometimes the questions lead to lead to fun stories that maybe I wouldn't have thought to ask or they wouldn't have thought to tell. And so I just had Jamie Lissow. He's an absolute hilarious comedian. It may have been one of my favorite episodes to date. And he's really good friends with Rob Schneider, and he helped co-produce and act in the Netflix show Real Rob, that's about Rob Schneider's life, a little embellished, and he's the assistant. He's a hilarious guy, and he's also co-produced or sorry, not co-producer. He's been a producer on the show Man with a Plan on CBS. It just got canceled, but there were 4 seasons. It was with Matt LeBlanc from Friends.
Yeah.
And so he was a producer and a writer on that. And anyway, we started with the interview. It was a lot of fun. Then we got into the questions, and then one of the questions was about this person asking, should I spritz my perfume on these letters that I'm sending my friends? Or is that too much? Will it be seen as romantic? So then we got into stories of how he ended up getting a pen pal that he met on the plane, and then how his dad wrote him letters and stuff. And it was really cool. So that's the gist of the podcast. It's been really fun. It's grown a lot over the years, and I've gotten to meet some really incredible people, and I feel so lucky. And I did hit a crossroads about 6 months ago where I was doing stand-up, I was doing the podcast. On top of that, I was thinking about what are my core values in life and what really makes me happy. So I started to try and take that into account. I thought family and not wealth, but a living, let's say, and then my passions like stand-up and podcasting. And so family, I have my wife. I love her more than anything in the world, and I love spending time with her. So I want to be able to do that. I have my 9 to 5 so that we can have a roof over our head and we can afford, if we want to go out on a date night or take a trip somewhere, road trip or something, we can be able to do that. And so that 9 to 5, I want to make sure that I'm growing there. And then after that, there's the passion of the comedy and podcasting and stand up. And I thought, I can do this, all of this, but I can give 100% to one of these things within the comedy category. So I can either really go forward with podcasting, or I can really try with stand up. And I thought, with the other two things, with the 9 to 5 podcasting, I can kind of set my own schedule with guests. Maybe I'll have to be a little bit flexible, but I can do it in a way where I'm not going out and doing open mics every night. And then comedy, when you're performing, you're usually performing Thursday through Sunday, which are nice quality nights to be able to hang out with my family. And while I love stand up, and I think that I could have made the other choice and been happy, right? I could have still tried to make it work, but the podcasting attracted me a little bit more and pulled me more in that direction. So I started to do that, and I just went full speed ahead. So I feel that my goal is to shift off of my 9 to 5, have my podcast support me so that I can get into stand up more and focus on other things that are around comedy, because I really like it so much. And but right now I've been focusing on the podcasting. I think maybe I would have been a little salty if I chose stand up and then coronavirus happened and everything closed. But I ended up making a decision that was very fortunate. And so very fortunate for the fact for me. And then also I've been able to get a lot of really good guests that I may have not gotten otherwise, just because of scheduling conflicts, or they have so many things going on. Because comedians, I really have to give it to them. They grind so much.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the ones that I've worked with and a lot of the bigger guests that I've had, they're going out Monday through Wednesday, testing their material on audiences through open mics or other shows, and then Thursday through Sunday it's show, and then writing, or maybe they're doing other stuff. And so I knew that if someone didn't respond to me when coronavirus happened, it's just they didn't like me, because I knew they didn't have much going on.
Yeah. What else are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So I ended up getting some good guests, and then that started snowballing. And now I am really deep into it, where I'm doing, maybe last week I did 5 episodes, and this week it's 4. And I'm still, I don't know how I'm going to release these episodes, because I wanted to do 1 a week, but now it's like 3 a week. So I hope my fans are ready for the ride. But it's just been a blast, and I've been trying to also get the name out there by guesting on podcasts like this awesome podcast. I love the theme, and I love the idea, but it's just been so much fun, and it's allowed me to meet other people in an environment where it's, a one-on-one. It's a conversation where if I was doing stand-up, maybe I'd meet a lot of other comedians, but it might not be in the environment where I was able to get at a more intimate level with them. So it's been an absolute blast. I've loved it, no regrets, and I just can't wait to see where it continues to take me, because it's been fun.
I started doing podcasting several years ago, and it was, fairly a new thing. And I decided I am going to do this. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to get me a book on how to do this, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. First of all, anybody that gets a book about how to do podcasting, you just wasted your money. You have to do things that make you comfortable when you're podcasting. Yes, you need, certain equipment to do it, but you don't have to be, you don't have to have that $200 microphone when you're first starting. You got to gradually move up to those things. But one of the things in the books is make sure that you have all your questions written down before you have your guests on. So I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. So I have all these questions. My interviews never went that direction. And I would find myself like waiting for that pause so I could jump in with my question. And I didn't pay attention to what the guy was saying, or, the person that I was interviewing, what they were saying. And finally, I told my wife, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to get on there and talk
Yeah.
because people like a conversation.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
and number two, if you listen to a lot of podcasts, which I really, to be honest with you, I hardly ever listen to podcasts anymore.
Same. Same. It's
You're
such
doing
a,
it all the time, basically.
yeah.
But you'll get, okay, I told you I do a paranormal show, and you get
Right.
guests on. Everybody asks the same questions. Where's the scariest place you've been? What got you into ghost hunting? What did you know? And okay, that's redundant. It's been done over and over and over again. So I get the guys from Ghost Hunters on my show, and I just start out with, "What do you like to do for fun? You know, what do you do outside of ghost hunting? You know, tell me
Yeah.
about where you grew up. You know, what was it like being a kid?" And at the end of it, they're going, "I've never been on an interview like this before." Well, you got to find your niche, and that's my advice anyway. Now
I think
everybody's going to steal my ideas. I'm editing this out.
I think it's such a valid point, though, and I think that even though you said it, I'm sure it might go ignored. But I think it's so true, everything you just said, and it's so powerful because I ran through the same exact. Fortunately, I ran through the part of not listening with my brothers, where not to say that they're not significant, but I I would have hated to have a big guess and just try and think of my question and then just not being paying attention to them. And so that's been at least I've been able to just ignore my brothers. But I
You're
think that
supposed to do that.
yeah, exactly. It's second nature. Second nature. It'd be weird if I didn't. But then also I did try and set up these and I would be very stressed about, oh, am I asking them the right questions? Am I not? Blah blah blah. And just like you said, you don't get to all of them. That's just not the way that a
No.
conversation works. And so, and with the podcast being so much different from an interview, it's still an interview, but it's more casual. You have more time, and
Hmm.
it sets up an environment that is really not conducive to standard interview questions. And then plus, almost everyone's got a podcast. So everyone asks so many similar questions where I think what you said about you get these people on, people may have heard them on another podcast, but then not the questions that you're asking. And I think that that's what people really want to know. When I get really fascinated with an actor or comedian or someone, I try and listen to a podcast or try and find out more about them. And it's really cool to understand, oh, this actor also likes to play guitar or he likes to go camping or whatever. I didn't know that about him. You feel a little more connected. And so you like hearing about that. And
Oh yeah.
I love that approach. And I think that's been my, you know, with the questions that's been helping me a little bit with the questions that we answer on the podcast. I do try to get a little personal, but I haven't done it as much as you. And I think that I will try that because I think that's an excellent,
Well,
excellent, yeah.
they appreciate it because okay, you see these guys on television or on stage or whatever, and you already know that they are what they are, whether it be a comedian or a ghost hunter or whatever. And so they're used to the same old. And then when you get into let's let's hear about you because there's stuff out there people do not know. And not only are you'll make friends. I promise you will make friends when you do that because they really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I've got these guys on speed dial. I can call them anytime I want. Hey, dude, you think you could do a show? Yeah, sure, no problem. Um,
So,
and like, let's take for instance, if you know who Brandon Alvis is from Ghost Hunters, he's
mm-hmm,
like their tech guy.
mm-hmm.
Um, we got into talking to the fact that he used to work for Buck Owens, and Buck Owens is my favorite country singer of all time. So it's just
Wow.
yes, I love this, And otherwise, people would have probably never known that.
Yeah, yeah. That is super cool. Speaking of, um I'm not educated in the paranormal, But one interesting fact is I grew up in Cottonwood, Arizona, and I worked in high school in Jerome, Arizona. I don't
Okay.
know if you've heard of it, but it's a huge, not huge, it's a ghost town where it used to be an old mining town, and then everybody left because there was no more copper to mine. And so now the hospital, they transformed the hospital into a hotel. This was years ago, maybe 50 plus years ago. And so everybody that goes there, not everybody, but a lot of people, they say that they saw a ghost. And I used to work in that hotel where there was a restaurant in there called The Asylum. A very good restaurant, delicious food. Also a lot of ghost stories.
Ooh.
So lots of interesting thing that happened. I actually had a comedian that was also a paranormal investigator, and we talked about Jerome. She went there and she talked about an experience or an encounter where she ended up having a paranormal and entity. I don't know what to call it. I don't. Is ghost the right word? Is that slang?
Well, actually, you'll find that there are some uh, investigators that are like, it's not really a ghost. It's, it is a spirit, an entity. But to me, it was always the same thing. But I'm getting educated on that. I've been doing it for years, and I'm still learning.
Got it. Yeah. I wasn't sure if ghosts would be offended if I said ghosts, so I was trying to think of a better word.
Got to
But
be PC, man.
yeah, exactly. So it grabbed her by the throat there. It didn't, she said it didn't choke her per se, but it did grab pretty firmly by the throat, freaked her out. So ghosts. That's my only, I didn't even have that encounter, but I had a lot of friends or coworkers that did have some encounters with the paranormal.
You need to go on a hunt with us.
You know what? I one of these days I would love to, because my wife too. She's I think she did see a ghost when she was in Brazil. It was her great grandmother, and
Ooh,
she didn't realize it was a ghost, and so she described this person, this lady, to her mom, and she was like, "That's grandma." So really interesting.
wow.
Yeah.
You don't think she has a gift, do you?
I did ask her that. It being somebody that has no idea about the paranormal, I did ask her, "Hey, do you think you're sensitive to the other realm?" And she said, "I think so." So,
She needs to talk to my wife.
really,
Yes. My wife sees them all the time. She communicates. It's pretty awesome.
man, man, it's so fascinating to me. It's it's really cool. But yeah, that's really interesting. It's cool to see that some people are a little more sensitive to it, or more I don't want to say open, but they
Well,
receive the messages.
the thing with it is most mediums and psychics will tell you that everyone has gifts. It's just a matter, are you in tune with them? Are you, practicing it? Because there's people that are born with that gift of right off the bat. They have that tendency, but then they don't use it over the years, and then it's kind of fades away. It's never gone, but it fades away, and just like anything else, that you learn. Like me, I used to be a whiz when it came to spelling in high school or in school in general. And now, if it wasn't for autocorrect, I don't think people would understand what the hell I was saying. But there are ways of practicing and getting more in tune with that part. I personally don't think I have any part of that gift, but
Mm.
I won't. I'll tell you straight up. I have no qualms about telling people about. I've had mental issues in the past,
Yeah.
and I kept hearing voices, and I thought I was going crazy. And I will tell you to this day, I still think I was going crazy. But one of the mediums that I talked to said, "No, you have a gift," and they were trying to reach out to you, and you weren't listening. And like, okay, well, I wish one of them would tell me the freaking winning lottery numbers. So, sons of,
Yeah, tell me something useful.
right? But I don't know. I'm not an expert. I will say that there are mediums that I have worked with that have straight out told me things without me saying a word and been spot on. And it made me a believer because I used to not believe in any of that stuff. I thought it was all carnival tricks. And some of them are. Don't get me wrong. There are people out there that they will tell you what they think you want to hear, or they have this gift of paying attention to how your faces expressions are, or blah, 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 expressions are, and the things that you say, and they can elaborate on those without you realizing it. But you know, real quick, I'm not trying to take away from your interview here.
No. This is fascinating. This is good.
Um, like I told you, I was very skeptical, did not believe in it whatsoever. My wife, on the other hand, she's really into it. She says, "Hey, there's a medium that we're going to go meet, and she's going to give us a reading." I was there. I just figured I was going to kick back and I was just going to listen. And she says, she just looks at me, and I hadn't even told her my name, nothing. She goes, "You had somebody just pass away today, didn't you?" And his name starts with a B. And I started crying because my grandfather, whose name was Byron, just died that morning. And the only reason I was there is because I promised my wife that I would take her. And it blew my freaking mind. Well, that's not the half of it. She says, "How come I keep hearing the water boy?" And she's going, why am I hearing this? And we just looked at each other and go, how the hell does she know? The running joke between my wife and the two daughters that live with us is that whenever we're driving around or doing anything, we're always going, water sucks. It really, really sucks. Gatorade, H2O. Gatorade, H2O. How the hell would she know that? I mean, we didn't do that when we walked in the door.
Dang.
So that it started making me a believer. And the biggest thing other than that is we went to an investigation, and she's part of our team. And we sat in this one room, and she started talking, and one of the meters we had that had not done anything all night, when she started asking questions, this thing was going on. Okay, you could attribute that to anything. Okay, I won't lie, you could turn on a cell phone or anything, it can make these meters go off. But she was sitting there and she was looking at the lady that owned the place, and she told her things about her family. She goes, "You have an aunt that she decided she liked to party, and she gave up one of her kids, and she just disappeared, and she's estranged from the family." And she looks at her and says, "No, there's nothing like that in my family." And so I'm thinking, oh, man, I believed in this stuff and it's not true. About 2 or 3 days later, that lady called me freaking out. She goes, "I had a serious talk with my mother, and she said that she had an aunt, she had a sister that she went out, partied, got pregnant, gave her kid up, and then just took off. Nobody else had anything to do with her in the family, and I never knew that."
Dang.
Like, what the what?
That is crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So, hmm.
I've never gone to see a medium or anything like that, but I'm not sure. I'm skeptical, but I am open to believing if presented the right evidence, where same with the paranormal, anything paranormal really. I'm not going to just dismiss it because I don't think it's real. I think I believe that it could be, and even though I haven't had any experiences, I believe the experience that my wife had, and maybe I'm just not as sensitive as she is. So, but I
Hey,
think it's all fascinating, really.
If we had the time, I could tell you some stories, brother.
Man.
And I'm still one of those people. When I go somewhere to do an investigation, I'll tell them, nope, that's got to be this. It's got to be that. I'm the debunker of the group, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Man.
there's those times I go, I don't know.
That's crazy. I think stuff that I'm really fascinated in is the paranormal. I'd love to do an investigation one day, and then aliens. Aliens fascinate me, and I don't know what's going on. I love reading about it, but it's interesting. It sure is interesting.
That's one of those subjects I like to talk about every once in a while on my show. And I ended up getting the director of MUFON on my show. Gosh, it's been about a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
You can look him up. His name's Jan Harzen.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, the director of MUFON. And it was an interesting conversation to say the least. But I think we're gonna actually have them on, actually out meeting people before you know it. They're here. That's my belief. They're here.
Oh, holy shit.
And that's every one of those people that I've talked to said they are here. So, hey, I don't care. Call me a nut. I believe it.
That's I just got chills down my spine just thinking about that they're here. Because my fear is they will be as shitty as human beings, and where we've just gone into wars and conquered each other and stuff. And I'm afraid that they would do the same thing. But hey, if they're already here, I'm put at ease because they haven't, unless they're doing some master scheme. It's not harming me, and I will be friendly. If they say hi to me, I will say hi back. That's how I was raised, so I will be polite.
They're all working in a lab in Wuhan. That's bad. That's bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, shit.
Please forgive me, Lord, and bless all the starving pygmies in New Guinea.
Oh, that was good.
I'm going to hell.
Hey, yeah, you asked for forgiveness. I think you're in the clear.
Okay. Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch. Okay, now I'm a fan of the Catholics.
Oh man,
I'm bad. I'm going to hell.
Uh,
So, what else do you like to do?
Man, I love eating. I know we talked about food a lot. I know we talked about languages, traveling. That's really fun. Like going on hikes. I like what else?
You like nature?
I do. I like to get in touch with nature every once in a while because I'm hunched over on a computer 10, 12 hours a day. So I want to be able to get I mean, we really haven't left our house that much in the past 5-6 months. It's been pretty quarantine-y. So I wouldn't say, I just think it's the circumstances. Both of my wife and I, we work from home, so we're able to just chill here. And
well, basically, Walmart's the only place we ever go. Walmart and the grocery store.
Yeah, that's pretty much us too. Either Walmart or Costco or wherever.
Except for Whataburger.
I have to take my wife to Whataburger because she didn't know it was a thing. She saw it and she was like, "Oh, is that place good?" And I was like, "Oh yeah."
Oh, yeah. The double meat and cheeseburger is the best.
Nice. Okay, I'll have to recommend that to her because she's a big In-N-Out fan. She likes In-N-Out.
We have an In-N-Out down the street. I told my wife when we first moved there, I said, now this is a wild and crazy town because here's a place called In and Out, and then a couple of doors down is a place called BJ's. And I'm like, In and Out and BJ's? Wow, this is a crazy place, man. Damn, I moved to the right place.
I want to live in your neighborhood. This is awesome. Oh,
Dude, y'all have to visit Texas, especially here. About 10, 15 minutes from my house, they've got a creek that runs through. And it's when the water's low, you can see the dinosaur tracks. So
really?
It is freaking awesome, man.
That is pretty cool.
And then we'll take you on a ghost hunt.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be really cool. Oh, one of these days.
The
One of
life.
these days. Yeah.
Well, see, I want to visit back out there again, and see, we need to get you to come visit over here.
Yeah. I think I've just driven through Texas. I've never really stayed. So that would be really cool. My wife and I have always wanted to go to Austin. We've wanted to go to Chicago. We haven't been to Chicago yet. Austin, and I think Seattle, Portland.
I don't think I'd want to go there right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, let's steer clear of that place right now, but sometime in the future, maybe.
Got to go Louisiana, man.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Take you to Morgan City.
What's in Morgan City?
Have you ever seen the show Swamp People?
No.
Okay, look it up on demand. I can't remember what channel it's on. I think it's on A&E, but I'm not going to swear to it. But Swamp People, they're alligator hunters. So you go there, any kind of way you can cook alligator, you can get it there. You need boots, you need belts, whatever. If they can make it out of alligator, they're gonna make it.
Dang.
And the cool thing is one of my wife's relatives is actually on that show. So
Really?
yes, I'm not gonna drop his name on here, but he says, shoot him. You'll know who I'm talking about when you see the show.
That's awesome. So do you guys get alligator skin souvenirs and stuff?
I haven't gotten anything made of alligator, but I have ate alligator several different ways. My favorite, though, is the alligator sausage.
Interesting. Okay.
Kind of greasy, but very tasty. That and crawfish.
Oh, yum. Yeah.
Yep.
I'd be willing to try the alligator sausage for sure. I don't think I've ever had alligator, so I would love to.
It's not bad. There's a festival that they have here in Texas, and it's in Anahuac, which is almost halfway, like between Houston and the border of Louisiana, and everything there is alligator, and plus you get crawfish, shrimp, and stuff like that as well. But it's good eating, man. I like it anyway. I like it. Of course, I'm weird.
If there was any animal that I wouldn't feel guilty about eating, it would be alligator, because I feel like that guy will just chomp you down if he has a chance. I can see. I mean, I'm a carnivore by all standards, but I mean, I don't think vegans would even have a problem with eating alligator. That's vicious.
Hey, man, they snap a hold of you and they twist you around and they drown you before they eat you. And these guys hunt them for a living.
That's crazy. Utmost respect to them, because they're fighting alligators and they're making less alligators on this earth, which I'm a fan of. I mean, I would have nightmares when I watched the Discovery Channel and I'd see the Nile crocodiles just tearing gazelles in half, or just twisting them around and drowning them. And then they I guess they can't really chew, so then 5 alligators will come and then they'll just twist all the bits apart.
Oh yeah.
I don't really have a way that I want to go out, but it's not that way.
No.
I do not want that.
I told my wife the way I want to die is I want to be having sex, eating shrimp, and watching the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl, and I can go. Those three things, and I'm content.
That's pretty good. I haven't thought about a good way to go out, but
Did you ever watch Monty Python's Meaning of Life?
so long ago.
If you remember, the way they killed that guy is they chased him off the cliff, and they had the women running behind him, and they were all topless. That's a good way to go.
That is a good way to go. Running off the building, running off the cliff with two topless women. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Better than being torn apart by alligators, for sure.
Oh yeah. Now, if I'm really gonna go, I want to go in my sleep. I don't want to feel nothing. Just drift away, dreamland.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
content.
I hope I have a good dream too at the end. I hope it's not a dream that I get stressed about, especially a dumb one where I go to school with no pants or something.
God, I hate those.
Still happens. I'm 32 years old and I'm still getting freaked out when I go to high school with no pants. I guess I should be if I'm 32 years old in a high school with no pants. That should be extra worrying, but it's still happens.
You know, I read up on dreams and things like that, and a lot of times when you're naked and you're in public, if you'll notice in your dream, most people don't even notice it, but you do, and it's the feeling that you get when you don't feel like you're getting the attention that you think you deserve.
Oh, interesting. So I'm starved for attention. That's accurate. I
Well,
do like attention.
it's like you're being ignored. You have something to say, and then you're not being able to convey those things because people aren't listening to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's interesting. I can see it.
Yeah. Man, we have actually come to the end of the show, believe it or not.
Oh man, final stop.
It
Wow.
flies by. So what we should do is tell everybody how they can find you, like on social media, find your podcast, if you have a website, all that kind of stuff. So spill it.
All right. So you guys can find me at my website, acomedyadvicepodcast.com. You can find me on Instagram at a comedy advice podcast. You guys can listen to a comedy advice podcast on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, go on over there and search a comedy advice podcast. It's should be pretty intuitive and simple to remember, a comedy advice podcast. I'll say it just one more time, a comedy advice podcast.
Now,
So,
this is a comedy advice podcast, right?
it's a comedy advice podcast. So
Okay.
yeah, if you enjoy comedy and advice, check out a comedy advice podcast with Steph and Settanni.
Well, just give me the comedy. I don't like advice. Don't tell me nothing. I don't want to know nothing.
I'll give you just the right episodes where you can learn absolutely nothing. So we have plenty of those.
So, if you don't mind me asking, what platform do you launch from?
Oh yeah, good question. I launched from Anchor.
Anchor, okay. Because I've been using Buzzsprout, and it gets it out to all the different ones: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google, Apple, all that stuff. So,
Oh, nice. Anchor does that too. They just got bought last year by Spotify, so that connection's direct. But it also does it to most of the others. I don't know if it does as many as Buzzsprout, but all of the big ones, and then you can add manually if you want to.
do you have anything on YouTube?
Oh yeah, I do. On a YouTube channel. I think it's YouTube. If you just Google or if you YouTube a comedy advice podcast, I have some clips on there. I usually only do audio, but from some of the guests, I've started to put clips up there of some funny stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that sounds great, man. Thank you for joining us. This was awesome. I like having talks like this.
Oh, Kyle, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
And I'd like to thank everybody that watches us and supports us. Without y'all, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. And so, until next time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network and on Instagram at The Vibes Broadcast.